What's up, everybody? Welcome back to All Things Nerdy. This is our 44th episode. Been doing it for a minute now. Today, we have a topic that we touched on last week. Was a lot of fun. Should provide a lot of laughs, and something I'm excited to talk about. I really enjoy. It's kind of a blend of topics. So we're going to be talking about Baldur's Gate 3, Game of the Year, one of the best video games I've probably ever played, what it does, how you can play it, but also how that runs into D&D. So we'll get into it, but basically both are amazing. Both run, hand in hand with each other, and it is great. And I cannot wait to talk about it. We have a very special guest, someone I've known for a long, long time, and I know he's passionate about this stuff, so I can't wait to hear his takes. Joe?
Yeah, super excited. I got the game over the Christmas, last week of the year, and put a ton of time into it. Still haven't beat it yet. These two are veterans and have played multiple playthroughs so far, so excited to hear some of their insights about the game and those kinds of things. But without further ado, Ben, talk nerdy to us.
All right. So my name is Ben Grenaway, longtime nerd, longtime gamer, first-time dungeon master with D&D. So we're going to be talking about all these things. But how I would like to start out by talking nerdy to you is talking about this mug. Now, this is slightly different. I'm a big Star Wars fan as well. And I'm going to read you. So these are initials. My girlfriend, shout out to Lydia, got me this mug. You can't really see it, but I'm just going to read it to you. It's a bunch of initials. I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and serenity to my new empire. Your new empire? Don't make me kill you. Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. If you are not with me, then you are my enemy. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must. You will try. So anyway, it's my favorite scene in Star Wars, and it's a bunch of initials on a mug. So,
and you know every word of it.
I know every word. Yes.
That might be one of the best kickoffs of this podcast we have ever had.
For sure.
Clip that.
Especially because the voice changing, everything.
No, I put a lot of charisma into what I do. So
I appreciate that.
Okay, so not everybody will see this, and we didn't get to post it because I was on meetings and stuff, but Ben actually sent me his in real life character sheet. So talking about putting charisma into everything you do. So in D&D and in Baldur's Gate, you have a character sheet, and within those character sheets, you have strength, dexterity, charisma, intelligence, wisdom, constitution. Each one of them means something different, but you basically go 1 to 20, 8 really being the lowest. You don't go much lower than that. And each one affects a modifier. So I'm just going to share with everybody Ben's real life character sheet. Ben, do you want to do the one that Lydia suggested, or do you want to do yours?
Do the one Lydia suggested. Just so everybody knows, I sent Nathan mine, and then my girlfriend, we're both big D&D Baldur's Gate fans, and she took a look at it, and she's like, you're too overpowered. You couldn't create this character in D&D or Baldur's Gate. You have to adjust. So I adjusted down to be more realistic.
So I saw all these together. I was actually going to message you and be like, bro, I feel like your strength is a little much.
I've been lifting, okay? I just came back from the gym, so.
But we have a strength of 14, a dexterity of 9, charisma of 14, intelligence of 17, which means, be pretty good spellcaster, right? Wisdom of 12 and a constitution of 8. You were about as strong as a wet paper bag, or have the health points of a wet paper bag.
You're really smart, but very fragile.
Yeah,
So
I was just glass cannon. So
if you get touched, you're going down.
Nathan, you know me. How does that stack up to what you know?
It's pretty good. It's pretty on point. The first one you sent me, your strength was high. I do feel like 14 might be a little more on point.
A little more
but it's pretty good. I feel like that's right. If you were like, Nate, make me a character sheet for you in real life, which should be a thing. I feel like people should be able to do that for people, right? That's probably about where I'd put you. Nice.
Well, I like it. I haggled with a few different stats. I was like, am I more charismatic or more strong? She was like, it depends on the thing. But,
you'd have a little more charismatic.
Jars?
Yeah, probably a little more charismatic. I'll take a 15 charisma and a 13 strength. That's great.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking about my character sheet, my real life character sheet, and it hurts me to think about. My charisma is probably way up there, but my strength is weak. My constitution is weak. I walk these days and hurt my ankle, So yeah.
So your area is super low as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I'm old and slow these days. So Ben, let's jump into D&D first. So for the people watching, Baldur's Gate is legitimately built off 5e rules with some tweaks, right? So Dungeons and Dragons is basically a rule set that you can follow to build out worlds and games that give you structure to things that you can do. Within D&D, you can do anything you want. You can build out any world, you can make any character, you can make any villain, it doesn't matter. So D&D provides structure, right? And then you can live in that world however you want. So BG3 took that and turned it into a video game, which is really, really cool, and it's a blast. But let's talk D&D first. You're a new dungeon master, yes?
Yes. So we just had our second session a couple days ago. I tried Dungeons and Dragons about a year ago, and we did like our laptops, and it was very confusing. I mean, all things D&D is amazing, but there's an opacity to it and an intimidation that a lot of people can feel because there's so many rules and you have to know the things. So to prep for D&D, I bought like 3 5e books. Everybody told me to like just buy a campaign book and do the campaign book, but I was like, no, I want to create my own campaign, my own world. And it was a lot of fun. So actually, if you look at the background behind me, I fed my entire campaign into ChatGPT and I asked it to create a background for me based upon it. So you see like a lot of smoke, you see a dragon, you see all of these mountains, the Gelros Mountains in my world. And I probably put like 7 to 12 hours into each session thus far. But it's so much fun. And like you said, Nathan, there's a lot of structure that has to be put in, but it's also all about improv and flexibility. And so like, for example, session 2, I built 2 maps for like where players might want to go. Do they want to go to like through the Whispering Woods, or do they want to go through the desert to like a free city? And I needed some structure, but then they kind of just take off and go for it. And my job as a dungeon master is to, make sure the fights are balanced and also basically say yes to whatever they want to do and not give not push them too far. And actually, Nate, I reached out to you and asked you like how you DM'd in the past, because you've been a DM before, and you gave me a lot of great tips and guidance. But it's so much fun, and yeah, we're loving it.
Yeah, so D&D is a blast. I loved being a DM, but you can plan and prep, and your players will never do what you want, right? Yeah. Like you should not. Some DMs do, but you should not railroad them into anything. Like this might be the plot point that you want to get them to, but there's ways to get them there via choice.
For sure.
You can use NPCs, you can use quests, you can use whatever you need to, but you can't as a dungeon master just be like, guys, you need to go there. Right. Yeah. Then you're just not doing your job of building an immersive world and allowing them choice. Right. And so like I've told this story on here before, but one time I spent hours and hours and hours prepping and planning and building all these really cool things for a session we had coming up. Everybody shows up. Next thing I know, I'm pretending to be a freaking auctioneer. I'm selling a boat, right, and a bunch of other items and stuff like that. And then like they buy the boat, and I'm like, that's cool. So we're doing Ghosts of Saltmarsh, so it's like sea related. So I'm like, yeah, we have a boat now. And I was like, okay, now we can go about our way. No, we spent the rest of this session how to paint the boat, how to crew the boat, what should their flag look like, what are they going to be pirate like? And I'm like, I put so much time into this, and this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, it's kind of maddening, but also like the beauty of it. Like, it's not your job to like be the god; it's your job to be the environment.
Yeah, and I get to see the other side of it now. And my poor buddy, shout out to Daniel. He is the DM, and he asked me if I wanted to be a player. And I'm fairly witty. I like to think I can come up with stuff off the top really quick, And I picked a bard. And I picked a changeling on top of that. So I have a ton of options. I can do a lot of things. And in our last session, like at one point, he just tried to start putting me at disadvantage on like persuasion rolls and talking my way out of shit. And I was still just crushing it. And I throw so much stuff out there. And he's just like, okay, like we can figure this out.
Let's circle back to that.
Yeah, it's really good. And I think every session's different. And I also think like, the people that you play with and like bringing their personalities to the table also just changes everything, how they work together. Usually there's going to be like a more type A person at the table and people like look to them, and it's a ton of fun. On our first session, there was a random NPC in the tavern where they started named Lentil. And like his job was really he worked in the coal mine because there's some industrial aspects, and he's like a 15-year-old with like the black lung. And like as like fire was raining down and they had to escape, they were like, we can't leave Lentil. And so they took Lentil, and like one of them dropped Lentil and he hit his head and almost died. He survived. And they brought him up to like the top of this like Mount Everest mountain, and he's like, fading fast. And it's just like, or like they were fighting like guards, and they're like, maybe we want to trick the guards and take them into the city with us because they were like from a different kingdom basically. So it's just, so much fun.
It's the only game you can play where creativity is king, right? You were only limited by your imagination, and of course the DM's willingness to let you do stuff, right? So like this last session, we were trying to get into the docks because there were goblins there, but like there was a gatekeeper, right? And we just walked up to the fence, and I am kind of the charismatic one of the group for the characters. So they look to me to be like the face of the group. And I talk a lot, so I try to defer as much as I can so they can shine and role play and all that stuff. And they're like, "No, man, it's all you." So as we're walking up to the gate, on the like drop of a hat, I had to come up with a reason of why we should be in there at like 2 a.m. So I was like, I don't think you can do it, but I was like, I pressed the digits, a clipboard, and I am here to audit. And the dude's like, you can't go in. I was like, what's your boss's name? I can't wait to tell him how you're treating your superior. You don't let me in this mother effing gate right now.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. And it's something you can do like digitally, like since it's all in the mind, like the three of us could have like a D&D campaign,
I play on Roll20.
So there's a ton of like map making tools out there, and like you said, there's D20, there's D&D Beyond, and so it does not have to be like in real life. And so I heard that during COVID, D&D kind of blew up a little bit because a lot of people were bored at home, and
Stranger Things helped a lot too.
That's true.
It was during COVID that I did took part in one of the campaigns that you were DMing for, right?
Yep.
That was my first foray into Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, this is a lot. He sent me the character sheet and all of that. I was like, all right, now I have to like go through and research all of this and then decide who I want to be and like what I'm going to have. And then he killed my familiar. But he was mean.
I will say, as a DM, I'm a big believer of decisions have consequences, and it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Things die, people lose things. Like if you make a stupid decision, stupid consequences follow. So right. I am a fun DM, but understand that like there will be consequences.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, go ahead.
I was like, it's also crazy to think that like in Baldur's Gate 3, they took this entire like concept and world and made it into a playable video game, like, and still have some of that like, what makes it magic is you can make all the decisions, use your imaginations, you can change the outcome of what's going to happen based on how you feel and what decision you want to make, and they put that into a video game. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like you're totally right. Like there are things that you can do. Like there are probably thousands of things that I haven't done. Like if you have like a create water spell, like you can like do it to the environment and the environment reacts, and sometimes there's a cutscene because you do this random thing, and like it's absolutely the amount of like time they must have put into thinking about like what everybody might choose is just like astounding. It's like such a triumph. But like you said, they literally somehow took like this game of the mind and was able to put it into a system. And I also think like Baldur's Gate 3 would not have worked on any previous system. Like the PlayStation 5 and the most powerful Xbox can have a hard time running it sometimes just because there's so much going on. And so
there's
like
so many pieces.
Yeah. It's
I mean, my Xbox has crashed a few times, but it's just part of it. It's like I load it back up, get back into it. It's like the game is so good that you kind of expect stuff like that to happen. It's like there's so many just things that you can do and go off on like side quests that aren't even really side quests, but you make it a side quest, and then you want to do this and that kind of stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, like my next run is going to be completely unhinged. I'm going to try honor mode. It won't last long because of what I'm doing, but I'm going a full like non-min-maxed bard. It's called a bag bard. So the only weapons I will use outside of like vicious mockery is backpacks, and I will load it with like grenades, candles, explosives, and stuff like that. And then I will and it'll be like a high strength bard. And I will just throw these backpacks at enemies. That's it. That'll be all that my bard can do. That and use the environment. But who would have ever thought that, like, like you could build a character and run it through something like that, And also, like, there's differences. Like, if you put a candle in the bag and you throw it, it blows up upon once it's thrown. Like, I guess contact, it blows up. You don't put the candle in there. You have to ignite it. So you throw the bag and then like hit it with a fireball, which is a massive spell. But you hit it with like a whatever the cantrip is that is fire. I can't think of what it's called. But then you hit it with that to blow it up. But if you put a candle in there, it blows up automatically.
And it's weird things like that. Like there was one area that I kept walking into, and the whole area would explode, and I had no idea why. I was like, why is this area exploding on me? Like I eventually like started doing some research. It was because I was carrying a torch with me. I didn't have it out. It was just in my bag. Anytime I would go into this certain area, boom. Like just total massacre. And I was like, how
if a flaming sword
to be like to have this happen with like any flame source that you might be carrying in one of your character's bag, like that kind of stuff. Like it's insane the amount of detail that this game goes in.
Well, it's also the things you can do from the very start. So I don't know if either one of you know this, but Shadowheart at the very beginning on the Mind Flayer's vessel, right? She can learn the spell Command. So when you're getting towards the end and you have the Mind Flayer fighting the commander dude, you can command the commander to drop his sword, which is like a legendary badass sword. Yeah, he will drop it, and you can pick it up, and it is now your sword.
Well, I didn't know that, but I always kill him in the beginning to get that sword. So it takes a long time to kill him.
So I don't kill him. You just take Shadowheart and command him to drop it, and he'll drop it.
Wow, that's super interesting.
You know how many times I've been like commanded to drop my weapons like in these fights, and I'll get so aggravated because I'm like, now I have to take a turn and equip it back. But I didn't know you could. I don't know. I didn't know you could to do that at the very beginning too. Though that's really crazy.
It's crazy. There's so many different things. Like when I was doing my Dark Urge playthrough, where basically you're an evil person. It's pretty different from like the other characters that you can be. But there's a spell where you can basically the weapon returns to you, or certain weapons will automatically return to you, and it's like akin to like throwing a lightsaber and like
the force.
Basically, it's like I went like Eldritch Knight fighter build, and like it was really really cool.
So that's awesome. So I'd run a character just off that solely, just throw javelins and shoot.
Yeah, and if you're a barbarian, that's what my girlfriend does. She's a barbarian, and she just throws javelins like all day.
It's like stop throwing it.
So Baldur's Gate is such a revolutionary game. Like there was already, Divinity of Sin? Like there was a few games like this. And the thing that people like to hate on Baldur's Gate for is the turn-based combat, but the turn-based combat is important for how the game is built, right? But dude, it's just such a revolutionary game. I hope they keep building onto it. Supposedly they're already onto the next thing.
Oh, really? Larian Studios or Larian Studios?
Yeah, they're going to keep it updated. I think they might release one or two things for it because they're still releasing patches and stuff like that constantly, which makes the mods that I use very pain in the ass. But it's fine. But I think they're on to the next thing already. I could be wrong, but I believe I feel like I read that somewhere.
I'm hoping for at least one DLC.
Yeah. I will. I'll say like back to the turn-based thing. Like it can get annoying. It does make the battles take a little longer, especially if there's like 15 enemies. Like there's several people like summon a bunch of people that you also have to take out. So it's like, well, I just went with my characters. Now I have to wait until every other character, because that can get kind of annoying. But it's part of the strategy. Like You have to learn like who you need to take out first, like what they're gonna like kind of have to think through the whole battle. So it makes it more like a chess game.
Yeah.
And I really like that strategy piece to it, even if the battles do take longer. And I learned very quickly to save like at major points in battles. I've used, like Nate was talking earlier, like how he used his surroundings in battles. Like I've started stealing like crates of gunpowder, and I'll set them like on, like if I know a battle's about to happen, I'm going to set them in the area, and then like I shoot them and and like start blow up that area, that kind of stuff. And it's just insane that like a game lets you do that. Like I can plan for this fight by taking stuff into the area, setting it up, and now like I'm ready for you now. You beat me last time, but I know like I'm coming for you.
Right.
It's insane.
But what's cool is so the game presents I guess a foundation, right? Like this is the general thing of the game, but you can go about it however you so choose. And then so Joe, have you done Auntie Ethel? You're on Act 2, right? So you should have had interaction with Auntie Ethel.
Is that the old hag that's in a yeah.
So the lady in the cage, right? So the cage is on fire. I'm trying to limit spoilers the best I can, but it's more to talk about like how you can do it. So there's multiple ways you can fight the hag, you can agree with the hag, you can disagree with the hag. But while you're fighting with the hag, there's also a lot of ways, right? So there's the fire countdown, or you can do things like Ben said, create water, which actually shuts the fire off. So it allows you to just fight freely. You don't have to worry about like it burning or anything like that. Or you can actually just throw a carafe of water on it and it douses it also. But like just the game that gives you the options to think outside of the box like that is just so cool and so different, because most games are like you're here, your goal's here, get there, right?
Yeah.
But this game's like, go do what you want. But you know, like this is where you want to end up. But how you get here is 100%. And
it's like your imagination. Like I don't know if this would work or if this spell is available that early, but I would imagine Dimension Door would also work. Like clicking your character and clicking the person in the cage and then teleporting them elsewhere. So like again, like is that scroll available at that point in the game? But the mechanics seem to be flexible enough to where like if you can imagine it, like it should work as intended.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say like how Nate was like, just get there somehow. He was mentioning a character that I should have in my team, because I was like, I don't know how my team should be set up. He was like, oh, you should have this, get. I was like, who's that? I hadn't even been to that side of the map. I didn't pretty much everything else in the entire map. Like that one little corner is where I hadn't been yet, and I ran into them. I was like, oh, I know who you're talking about now. It's like that far in the game. Like you would have thought, like, yeah, you should have that person in your party, but you could make decisions that person's not going to be in your party ever. So that's just the kind of crazy, like decision making that's in the game.
And also like the people in your party will like they'll say things to you when you do things. Like if you're the Dark Urge and you go straight evil, I lost like 75% of my people on my team, and one person tried to leave and I had to intimidate them to stay.
That's Gale.
That was Gale. I was like, you're not going to leave. You're part of this now. Like, you have blood on your hands too. And he's like, oh, I guess I do. And then he became evil.
So I went full evil and I did all the terrible things that you have to do to go full evil. And Karlak left me, and I didn't care about Will. Will's my least favorite. Karlak is my favorite character, and I knew she was going to, but God, it hurt me. It hit me in a place that I was not ready for, to be upset about a game. Like I legit like turned it off for a little bit because I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
You were the one talking about consequences earlier, Nate. You don't want to live with your own consequences.
Exactly. You don't want to deal with it. I'm team Lae'zel. Lae'zel I think is the best. She gets like at first like she's really abrasive, but I just love how committed and like passionate she is to like her belief system.
No, she's a jerk. No, she's a jerk. Just plain and
simple.
simple.
You're on Act 2, Joe. You haven't seen it yet. There is a lot. So the way they develop their characters is top notch. You feel for these NPCs in a different way than you do for any other NPCs on any other game. It doesn't matter what it is. I would put these NPCs and the way their arcs are built, the way they're built, the way they change, and everything against any other game. It is just
it sticks with you. Like when I was playing my evil character, there was a choice, and I knew I would get a really powerful item if I killed like a person basically, and I did it, and it was like hard to sleep that night. I felt really bad. I was
Dude,
like, I would
that's
not have done that in real life. I don't like that I did it. I don't like that about me. I love the item that I got, but this is tough.
that first dirge scene is
Yeah.
bad. So I knew I'd read a couple things about the dirge, so I was like half prepared. I was like, okay, I know something's coming, right? But when it was there, I was not ready. I was like, holy fuck.
You
It's
guys are
crazy.
making me like want to like get through the game so I can go back and just be evil, but then it's like there's consequences to it. Like I've already created relationships with these people. Am I going to be able to separate those emotions when I play again? It's the same people and the same faces. Like
Yeah.
you built the relationship already. Now you want me to be evil?
So it's tough. It is legit tough. So Larian, so people were talking about the consequences of evil, right? And they're like, there's really no consequence, right? They're like, you just lose out on a lot of the quest and a lot of the meat of the game. And Larian, I feel like, had the best response. Like, that is the punishment. It is just isolating. You are by yourself. Name an evil person that is surrounded by good people and quality. Like, you were by yourself. That is the punishment of
There's
being
definitely
evil.
a psychological effect. And also, like, if you do go like the straight evil route that Nate's talking about, like, you have fewer people to sell to.
Like, a lot fewer.
You're kind of hamstrung by like fewer people, and you can always change the class and like try to make it work, but it is tough. And when you see people,
so the key is to sell before you like kill people, right? So I would like I'd walk to where I need to go. Hey, yeah, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. All right, murder everyone.
Take your gold back, or take all the things back if you like buy from them. Yeah.
So, but that is real. It got to a point where I had to drop stuff versus being able to sell it for gold. But my team, for whatever reason, my team was so overpowered. Even on tactician, I did not struggle at all. Which is why. So I downloaded a mod that increases the difficulty. And my poor buddy Josh, he downloaded it and we played it, and he'd never played it before. And he was playing it with me with my mod, and I didn't realize I had the mod on. Oh my god, he hated it.
I can't imagine playing with a mod. Like I haven't done a ton of research in like building the perfect character, and I just kind of play what I like, and if I find something that I like, I use it, that kind of thing. And I can't imagine like putting a mod on there to make it even harder than it already is without like perfect builds and like going into the strategy and stuff like that. But because like I'll summon my bear and throw him out there and like have him as the target and that kind of stuff, and I'm putting all my like extra skills into HP to make sure I can like live longer for all the characters. But yeah, I should do more research into building the character. But that's one thing about Baldur's Gate 3 that like is also crazy, is like your first, like you load the game, the first thing you do is like create a character. And there's so much, and so much that goes into create a character, like the background, the stats, the abilities, like things like that. Do either one of you have any, like, for people just starting the game or interested in starting the game, have any like advice of like, someone who doesn't necessarily want us to go spend 3 hours, 4 hours doing research on how to build the perfect character, who just kind of wants to jump in?
So there are, like, in the game when you create your character, it'll tell you. So I would say pay attention to the little helpful tips, because let's say you're a warlock. So a warlock's power is drawn from his charisma. And so like you might think, oh, I need my intelligence to be high. But I usually dump all the stats that aren't going to really help me. And also, like, if I'm playing by myself, then I want to have high charisma so that I can, regardless of what I am, so I can like have conversations and do well. But in my playthrough with my partner and her dad, her dad his name's Goodman Hairday. He's a bard with like long flowy hair, very, very silly. And he has really high charisma. So like I'm a dragonborn that is not intimidating at all for whatever reason. So he handles all the conversation. So it's one thing. It's like, okay, what kind of party do you want to have? Because you can always support with other people, but I normally just lean into like having higher constitution so I don't die, and then having however I'm going to be attacking, which it'll tell you, like strength or intelligence, charisma, to buff my my spells.
Yeah. So my advice would be to just say, fuck it, do what you want, have fun. They give you, it doesn't matter what you pick, barbarian, bard, monk, they will give you a decent put together skill list, right? If you go out and you try, now understand that level 1, level 2, level 3, you're just kind of getting into the teeth of your class, but ultimately Withers is there and you can respec at any time, right? So if you go full monk and you're like, man, monk kind of sucks, right? Because really, Way of the Fist is the best version of monk, and all that does is allows you to hit like 7 times, right? So like if you're like, I don't want to do that, I'd rather do something else, you can completely respec all of your skills, everything. You can pick a different class, you can multi-class. You can't multi-class on balanced, but you can multi-class if you're playing on tactician or whatever it is. And so just pick what you think would be fun, and if it's not fun, go to Withers and change it. And then my second advice overall for the game is save a lot, because being in the right position for whatever battles is more important than what your team is fully set up to do. If you can funnel, if there's 10 enemies and you can funnel them to you, that is a better option than just being out in the open trying to fight 10 different enemies at once, right? So like there's a part of the game, I won't name it specifically, but it is considered a really, really hard fight. But there's something very, very easy that you can do. There's stairs going all the way up. So you can just put down firewall, right? You can put down other AoE things and just stand back behind the door. People will come up, they open the door, you shut the door, and they just cook, right? So you're not actually fighting them. So just get creative, throw stuff out there, and have fun. It is probably one of the best games to just have fun, because you are not locked into anything. If you don't like your character, if you accidentally pick a spell you don't like, you can change it. And it's cheap. It's not like a steep price. The only caveat to that is if you're an oath breaker, they do make it difficult, because the first time you break your oath, you can pay to fix it.
Oath breaker. Yeah.
The second time you break your oath, I think there is a fairly steep fee to fix it, because being an oath breaker is a thing in the game. So there is not a punishment for it, but like it doesn't allow you to respec as easy.
Makes sense.
Other than that, just pick what you want, have fun with it.
And like on the battles, there's one battle, I think it's like it's not necessarily a main battle, but one of the side ones that you can choose to do or not to. But I like knocked them off, like out of the building and off the ledge, like out of like this open window, because I got massacred the first time. Like I tried, I was like, I didn't even mean to fight you. I would just kind of happen to wander into this area, and then I was like, there's no chance that I'm going to be able to beat this character. But I was like, but they're walking by that window. So I was like, is that possible? So Googled a little bit, and I was like, it is possible. What? So I did it, knocked them off, took off a ton of their HP, and I was like, how's that knock you down for size? Now I can beat you.
Dude, so I telekinesis people off the map or into like lava and stuff like that constantly. Just pick them up, chunk them, be done with it. So like going the dwarfs, the Dweger, there you go. All of those people, you could just boop, 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 and not mess with them.
And also, if your character is strong enough, I've never tried this, but I've read that if you have a dwarf or a gnome or a halfling as a companion, you can literally, if you're a barbarian, throw them and like use a weapon.
Smooche was a halfling.
I've shoved a lot of people off of ledges too.
Really? Yeah.
Yep. So Smooche was a halfling, and I had Lae'zel with me a lot of the time, and I would have Lae'zel like chunk me. So you were really restricted as a halfling, a gnome, and a dwarf, right? Your jumping and all of that is real. They do not make it conducive to do it. It is a time one hand behind your back. It kind of sucks, but ultimately Smooche was a halfling. But like there'd be places I couldn't get to, so I'd have to have Lae'zel throw me.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. I wonder if you could do a dwarf druid so that you could basically throw into a sized creature that can jump higher, or if your jumping is still restricted.
I'm not sure.
Probably. Like if you just thought of it, it's probably already in the game. Like that's what I've learned a lot is like, I wonder if I can do this. And I'm like, I start Googling it before I spend a long time trying to figure it out. And it's like, all right, so you can do this. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen the Gale Dark Pulse run through?
Gale.
So when Gale dies, he emits like a dark pulse, right?
Oh yeah.
punishes you, right? So if you're a druid, you can whatever they call it, right? And you can put Gale's body in a backpack, and you can just run around with Gale's body emitting that and killing everything.
Whoa. Wait, does it hurt you though?
Nope.
It only hurts enemies?
Yep.
Wow.
So in the video, I haven't done this myself. In the video, they explained it. I have to go find it. I'll see if I can find it and I'll send it to you. But literally, like, they owl-shaped and all this stuff, Gale into the backpack, and was just running around murdering. Now it kills everybody. It
NPCs
does
as well. Just
NPCs. I mean,
It's
everybody.
essentially a nuke. So
But just running around. It was like just stand next to people and they just go, ugh.
wait, do they know that they're taking damage from you, or are they taking damage from the environment?
I would assume it's the environment. On the video, like, it doesn't initiate battle mode.
Got it. Huh.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
that's pretty crazy.
Dude, yeah, it's such a good game. And like, Ben, if you ever want to play it, like, I still have it on my laptop. I would love to get into a multiplayer game. Like, it is so much fun. Is it crossplay? Like,
No.
I will buy it on PS5 if you are like Nate. I will
Literally, like, if you think about the economics of it, like, I've put an embarrassing amount of hours into it. No, not embarrassing. An amount that I'm proud of because I love it. So I've probably put, like, in fact, I looked on the PS5 yesterday. This is like my partner and I combined. We've put over 200 hours into the game since it came out, which is like a few, like, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. So, like, literally, like, one day we woke up on a Saturday, like, right after it came out. And we were like, let's play for like a couple hours and then we'll like go like hike and do all this stuff. And we're okay. So we start playing at like 9 a.m. and it's 7 p.m. We're like, we need to eat food.
You took a rest in the game at camp. You're good. You don't need to eat.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do a partial rest. No, but like, we've come down from that level, but like, it's so much fun. Like, last night I played with her and her dad, and we're just like goofing around, and her dad's playing old time battles on his violin, and it's just so silly, and it's a great use of time. And if you think about it that way, it's like, oh wow, it's actually pretty cheap, because you buy it once and then you can play as much as you want. So
money per hour into it, you're really great.
I'm in the pennies.
So you said you and your girlfriend have over 200 hours. I just looked at my Steam.
Good morning.
Well, I have 209 hours by myself.
Wow. Okay, so you win.
Yeah, he wins.
But the thing is, I played it when I was traveling. So every train ride from every country, or every night at the, wherever we were staying when we weren't going out and doing stuff, I would sit there and play it, because me and Steph spent all day together. This was like her time to read, my time to do what I wanted. And I didn't have good internet connection. You would be amazed at how terrible a lot of my internet was over there. So playing Baldur's Gate was the one thing that I could do on a consistent basis with no internet connection. So I did hit, I think, to be exact, I'm at 209.4 hours. And what's really bad is the last time I played it was November 26th.
I'm gonna look at my Xbox and see if I can find that.
Like, back to it being similar to D&D. I mean, like, I would honestly play D&D every single night if I could. Like, that's how much I love it. And it's like basically you playing D&D with like a computer, with like a very thorough quest. So like, it's a great way of flexing the imagination in your mind, and you get a lot out of what you put into it. So
yeah. And I think what they do really well is you can do it either way. Like, you can get really creative, like the bag bard, right, and stuff like that. Or you can just simple, like, hey, here's my sword, I'm gonna doink you with it. Like, you can go about it either way. And it's just, I mean, I can't say it praises enough, but like you, if I could play D&D every day, I would. It is one of the funnest things I've ever done. So the fact that they came out with a game that makes me feel like I am, because you can have conversations can go, several different ways. I do wish more of them were kind of open and you could had a few more dialogue here and there. Also, I do think Baldur's Gate missed the mark on some of their companions. Like, there's no halflings, there's no gnomes, there's no dwarves as companions. Also, the fact that there is no bard companion really upsets me.
Yeah.
Because if you want a bard, then you have to be the bard. But why not just make Alfira an NPC? And
I
when you
know. I was excited at first. I was like, oh, Alfira is going to join the party, and they could have made. I mean, Mistra would have been a weird person as a bard, but like, yeah, that does suck. And hopefully that'll come in the DLC. Hopefully, if there are DLCs, there will be like, oh, now you have more companions, or like I hate that there's not. What's the demigod person in 5e race in 5e where they have like wings and Azamar. I wish there were Azamars.
So there's a mod. There's mods for that on PC. I have the Azamar race in my choices.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And they make the mods really easy. It's called Mods Vortex. You go in, you just download them. It does everything for you. You just go in and it's there.
Is it glitchy when you do mods?
The only time the mods are glitchy is when they do an update because the mods aren't updated yet. But you give it a day or 2 days and it runs. It goes right back to normal. Actually, now that we're talking about it, I'm actually excited to go back and see all the new mods that they've implemented and put in. But dude, they've done full races, full like gear. Like the mods change. So like the replayability of the game is already so massive. But with mods, like you can legit make it a brand new game every time you go into it.
That's awesome.
Are the mods available for like PS5, Xbox, or is it just a PC thing?
PC.
Although eventually they'll have mods like they do with Witcher, because the Witcher, they moved the mods to the systems as well.
They did with Skyrim as well. That's what I was going to say. Skyrim, like you can go play Skyrim today and you implement all the mods. It's a beautiful, easily played game. It's awesome.
Like adding dwarves to your armor and like having to eat food, like it makes it much more immersive what they've added.
Yep.
So, that's awesome.
So I mean, it will come, but it does change the game. So I'll go look at some of the mods. Well, here, I mean, while I got you, let me just pull up.
I mean, adding races and that kind of stuff is a big change there. Like,
yeah, that's crazy. I had no idea.
I'm pulling it up now. Talk amongst yourself while I do that.
Oh man, well, what has been like? I'm trying to like think through a question without like spoilers as well, but like, is there a certain battle that stands out to you as like the most fun or that kind of thing?
There's a battle. Okay, so towards the end of, I think it's Act 1.
Oh my gosh!
No, Act 2, where you can help a person or kill the person. That was probably more memorable just because it affected the game in such large ways. I would say like that's when I was the Dark Urge. The other there's one like near a place called like the Forge. That's all that I'll say. It's an incredibly difficult battle, but the loot that you get is like one of the best pieces of armor like in the game. And so
the thing that like
So Joe, did you?
Yep.
Okay.
After I like got murdered a couple of times, I was like, "How do you beat it?" So I like Googled a guide on like how to do it.
I saw that. I didn't know about it, but I read about it a few days ago. I just like somehow won, but it was very, very
what? That's crazy because that was an intense hard fight.
So it's because like when you're the Dark Urge, you get like all these buffs and it just becomes so much easier to fight. I mean, I was on hard mode, I think, and like I was able to like massacre entire groups by myself in like 2 turns.
Wow. Are you eating any of the tadpoles?
Oh, all of them.
Yeah, as the Dirge, I eat every one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but one thing. So, have y'all seen Off the Top Rope with the Forge person yet?
Oh, wait, no.
So you can do owlbear form, right? You go up to the top where like you can overlook the forge, and then you enlarge the owlbear with a spell, and then you drink the elixir of strength, which makes you even bigger or whatever it is. And then you literally just death jump or whatever the skill is with the owlbear, and it will kill the machine in 1 hit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just goes to show like how many ways you could play this game. It's like, you know what? This guy's really hard to beat. I think I'll just make myself a giant and jump on him.
Yeah, or like in Act 1, there's like one of the first bosses. you go to like a goblin camp and she's like kind of pulling the strings. There's a bridge that you fight. There's a bridge near where you fight her, and she'll normally come to you, and oftentimes she'll stop on the bridge. Literally, all you have to do is destroy the bridge, and she falls and she dies. You don't get her a loot, but like automatic death. So,
also, fun facts now, Minthara, you don't have to commit all the heinous evil acts to recruit her anymore.
oh, interesting. I did recruit her, but that's interesting.
I recruited her on my evil dirge. I did all the terrible things that she wants you to do. I did it. But now you can do it without that, and she will still show up at Moonrise to join your party, even if you don't. But there's certain things you have to do. I don't want to spoil her at all. You can go Google it if you want, but there's a way to trigger it for her to still show up without having to everyone. You know?
Did you know that you can make Lae'zel follow Kithrak back to Kithrak? Because she like her god, basically. She like, and maybe sorry if this is a spoiler, but basically it's like really difficult, but I got her to do it in like the playthrough, and so she went back to
that's act 2, right? No, is that act?
It's you rest one night, and I think the god like visits you or something like that, and she's like, and it's really, you have to do things in a specific way because she really doesn't want to. She's like, I want to like be good.
I think that's late act 2 when you start talking about Kithrak or whatever her name is. It might be early act 3, but it's not.
Oh, you're right. It is early act 2. Yeah, because the crash and everything.
Yeah.
Did you guys
that's kind of cool though. I haven't done that. What'd you say, Joe?
Did you guys steal the egg?
Yes. Absolutely, I did.
So
I wasn't going to, but then they all attacked me, so I was like, well, whatever. Fine. I'll be the bad guy. You forced this upon yourselves, so.
Yeah, the real question is, did you give the egg to the lady?
Well, you didn't? What did you do with it? I gave it to the lady.
The lady told me she wanted it, and I was a Githyanki. Anakin was a Githyanki, so I'm like, no. And I attacked her and took all of her stuff.
Yeah, I murdered her each time. Even as my good playthrough, I murdered her.
Yeah. I hoped it would hatch. I wanted it for myself. My character was full ambition. Like, I want to rule everybody and destroy everybody that stands in my way. And that applied in the egg situation too. So,
dude.
Did it hatch?
What?
I was like, did it hatch?
That might be a spoiler either way. So
well, I gave the egg to the lady, but maybe I'll try it a different way when I play it again.
Dude, okay, first off, so there's a mod for Star Wars, by the way. They've added lightsabers to the game, just so you know.
Wow.
I'll send you a picture. Hold on.
Oh my. You're making me.
Can you imagine?
And Macs are not good with like gaming, especially my MacBook Air, like my personal Mac. So I may need to.
Can you?
It is legit called Lightsabers Star Wars mod. I'm gonna send it to you right now. Also, Marshman, what up, man? I see your comment over there. We're just in the middle of talking about stuff. Thanks for jumping in, buddy.
Also on as well, Michael Grunaway. He just texted me. I think he's one listening in.
What up, Mikey? Love you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for listening in. But dude, so there's a lightsabers mod, and it's kind of awesome. But they also have all the races, everything. So it's worth like checking it out on PC. I mean, the mods will come to PlayStation at some point. And honestly, I might end up buying it on PlayStation if I can talk my buddies into getting it, because Marchman's talked about it a couple times. And if they wanted to get it, I would buy it on PlayStation today.
Dude, I'd play.
I'm just over here in Xbox land. Sorry, guys.
Well, they need to make it cross-platform. I don't understand why it's not. It makes no sense that it's not cross-platform. So,
Joseph, don't say sorry to us. Say sorry to yourself for buying an inferior system.
That's funny. Thanks for hurting my heart. I'm gonna go dump my Xbox in the bathtub now.
Just kidding. Xbox for certain games like Starfield, they have, there's good stuff.
I gotta ask y'all, and Joe, maybe you missed it, I don't know. Owlbear, the mom and the cub, that was heartbreaking. That was tough to do. That hurt me.
Haven't done that.
Yeah, it's Act 1. So Nathan, you're not gonna like this. I don't know if you did this in your Dark Urge, but I didn't want the owl bear cub to have to live a life with these memories. So I saved it from having to live with the memories. So just total.
I'm picking up what you put down.
Yeah.
So
It sounds like you murdered it to me, but I'm.
Yep, it does sound that way.
So that to me, along with the dirge, the first dirge scene was like two of the hardest things in video game land that I've like had to do, because it puts you in such a position that like, unless you're really just like some kind of like crazy person, like it is such a conflict of morality, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, it's just a game, but like you
do
see it,
sure.
you see it like nuzzle, you see it like, and you're like,
the voice acting's so good, and like like I like to joke like, oh yeah, I did this evil thing, but there are psychological consequences that you feel.
Dude, when I told Steph, she's like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah, no, Lydia too. She's like, why did you do that? Like, she's like, because it's easy to, I mean, I don't know. It's like, would you do that in real life? It's like, no, obviously not. And that's where you feel the feelings. I don't know.
Bro, the dirge, the tieflings, the children, it doesn't like hide it from you either. It puts it in your face and makes you choose. Yeah. And not just once, not just twice, but like over and over. You are sitting there sentencing all these people to death. Right?
You're telling me you killed Arabella.
I'm not telling you anything, Joe.
You should just do the playthrough and see how far you're able to get. And it is probably a good proxy.
I don't know if I could. I have a kid named Arabella, so it would hit really close to home. I don't know if I could do it.
I will say everyone says the resistance of the Dark Urge is the best version of the game. I don't know if you wanted to do that or not, but I'm part of a couple
right now.
I'm part of a couple BG3 groups, and almost unanimously, right? Everyone says the resistance of the dirge is the best version of the game.
Huh. What is that?
So even as the dirge, the game allows, so dirge is Dark Urge, right? Where you have like impulses that you either cave to or you resist, and your character grows based off your decisions, right? And there's flashbacks and there's like real life moments that happen based off your decisions. So you can resist the urges and grow as a character and be better. And like, you can be like, no, I don't. So basically the dirge is like, you kind of like wipe your memory, but like things come back and you're like, think like if you're a killer and then you forget that you're a killer, or just say a shitty person. And then like you wake up tomorrow and you don't remember that you're a shitty person and you pride yourself on being a good person. But then all these flashbacks of you being a shitty person come back to you. That is essentially like kind of like the dirge, right? So like you resisting the shittiness of your prior life to be a better version of yourself is supposedly really, really.
That's not a lot more interesting. Like I was just full on like, I want to do an Anakin to Darth Vader, and so that's why I was like, I'm just gonna give in. But like maybe being like a paladin, Dark Urge who resists could be super interesting.
Yeah. I think my next character, other than like the bag bard, you know, super unmin maxed, I'll probably end up doing like some kind of like probably really big buff like tank, and it'll be some kind of dirge resistance.
Nice.
I also want to do the one where like literally you make life decisions on if you like could react in real life. Like if this happened to me in real life, what would I do? Like if a person's a dick, I kill them, right?
That's aggressive. I don't know if you would do that quite in real life, but
I mean, it's the things we wish we could do in real life. You can't sit there and tell me that people haven't like wronged you or been a douche and be like, God, I wish, you know, they'd hit their head on the door walking out, right? So I would just hit them in the head with my bat, something, you know. So I want to do that, like a realistic playthrough where, like, depending on the situation is the choice. Because a lot of times you make a decision for your character, like, oh, they're good, oh, they're bad, they're pure evil, they will always do this. But I want to do a run where like it's situation by situation. What does it look like, and see where I end up.
Yeah. A Geralt run.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how I'm playing through now. It's really like I didn't choose whether I was going to be like good or evil, but it's like I just basically react to the situation, what I feel like at the given moment. So I've done some kind of evil things, and I've done some like, but most of the time I have like erred on the side of like, hey, I should do what's right. So, but yeah, just it's like, how do I feel about this? Like, what, is this person a jerk, or like, should I believe them?
So, well, Ben, I know we have kept you so much later than we
No
told
way,
you we
way.
would.
Hey, this has been amazing. I've loved it.
Yeah, this makes me want to go play Baldur's Gate. Right now, I've just been playing a ton of Tarkov, and I suck at that. So it'll be nice to go play something I'm not terrible at. So like, I feel like I'm about to like go look through all the new mods, see how I want to change the game, and then go create me a character and mess around with it.
Yeah.
Dang, I kind of want to get it on PlayStation. Marshman, if you're still watching, just let me know if you and the guys want to run some. It would be hilarious. But nonetheless, Ben, we appreciate you hanging out with us. If you ever want to come back, we'd love to have you back. Honestly, I want to talk more about your D&D stuff too. Like we touched on it and then just jumped into Baldur's Gate. But like, if you want to shout out your players or anything awesome that y'all have done, feel free. But we appreciate you jumping on, hanging out with us, man.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been incredible, and I'm glad it went the way that it did. It was, just like a campaign. It was like improv. It went where it went, and it was great. But yeah, I'll shout out my party. So we've got Lydia Gim, who is Coconut, the albino tiefling. We have Demetrius, who is named Bjorn. He's a ranger. We have Addie, who is a wizard. We have Cupcake the Bitch, who is a dragonborn barbarian. Who else do we have? We have Time, who is also a ranger, and we have Time and Fenris, who is a bard that went to Bardverd but dropped out. So the last thing I want to do, I just want to give a quick 30-second synopsis. I used ChatGPT to give a quick high-level view of our campaign, and I've been using GPT a lot. For anybody who wants to get into DMing, use GPT. I uploaded the entire file of the player's handbook, the dungeon master book, and the monster manual, and I just basically give it what happens, and it helps me create scenes. So it's a huge time saver. But okay, so the campaign is called Twilight of Tangled Fates. It's set in the world of Eldoria, a realm once known as Aurorix. It's a story of multiple dimensions, conquest, and resistance, revolving around the pro-industry high elf sorceress Empress Eldora, who has unified the realm through bloodshed, conquest, and strict industrialization, suppressing magic and destroying resistant cities. Key characters include the nature god Chislev from another time and place of Verdantia, a key resistor in the future named Zafira, and a range of diverse NPCs. The campaign explores moral dilemmas between opposing the cultists who worship Chislev and basically the followers of Eldora who wants to destroy nature. So there are two bads, and they have to choose basically who they want to destroy, set in a gritty world with undertones of humor. So that's basically it. So all these people are like, the Empress, who's recently united the country, is pro-industry, pollution, coal mines that are having real-world impact. And then there's these time travelers led by a nature god who wants to kill all humanoids. Who's the actual bad person? Who do we want to align with? And so there's elements of...
It depends on if I'm a humanoid or not.
Right.
What'd you say?
I said, I guess it depends on if I'm a humanoid or not.
Well, yeah, I know. And is there a middle point? And so we just got to session 2, but it'll be exciting. It was a ton of fun to create on my own, and but yeah. So shout out to all the players. Shout out to anybody listening who loves D&D. If you've thought about it, definitely get going. There are ways to to learn and reach out to your friends, and it's a ton of fun. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this. Nathan and Joseph, thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you being on here. I got one question before you go. What is the funnest? I know you're only 2 sessions in. The coolest thing your group has done so far?
That's a good question. Okay, so they had a decision to make. Zafira, the person I told you about, basically this dragon druid that can turn into a dragon, was like, you can either, here's a dragon scale that can teleport you to the north of the city or the south, which would be Whispering Woods or the path to the Free City. They chose to go to the Free City. So there are these two Eldoran scouts and an arcane engineer, which is basically a wizard, but they have to have like a license and they're trying to take magic away. And so they're, So anyway, so they look at them like, oh, like what should we do? And so Coconut, the rogue tiefling who has great deception, she went up to the people, and as a DM, I have to voice them, right? And so she goes up to the arcane engineer, and I have like these spectacles. His name is Hans. I'm like, hello, I'm Hans. Like, who are you? You're not supposed to be here. And so she basically deceives him into thinking that she's there for an experiment. Now, there's no experiment that I've planned for, but she rolled a critical 20. So I'm like, oh, yes, you're here for the experiment. Like, that's amazing. And she's like, what is the experiment? And I was like, we're going to kill the king of the free city, and we need you to go in and do some stuff for sabotage. And so they basically take the 3 people with them, like going in the desert to the free city, and it just like changed everything. Now, like they eventually like killed them, but like these were not supposed to be people with characters or backstories. And like Lurtz, who was like one of the scouts, we found out that he's in love with Hans. And so when Hans met his demise, like Lurtz is just like beside himself, and then he gets pushed off of a cliff. It's just, that was probably the best because like, you know, and then one other thing in that scene was there was a merchant who's a dragonborn. And so Cupcake the bitch, who's a dragonborn, like there's the scouts and the arcane engineer, and they're trying to kill the free city, and the merchant's from the free city. And so he speaks in dragonborn. So the people can't like hear. And the party's like, well, how will they know? Like, how can they test? And so they said something and to see if like Hans would react. And Hans is basically like, and they rolled, and Hans is like, oh, that dragonborn is so funny. Ha ha ha. I don't understand it, but it's so good. You know, and so like they use the dragonborn to learn more about the city and its position against like the new empire. And so it's so cool. And it's really just like, again, I'm trying to be the environment, and like all these creative folks in the group are just like taking a good idea and making it like an amazing story. So that was definitely been the highlight, I think, for me.
So we had a comment. I think as a sign off, we need to hear one of Nate's voices.
It doesn't. So their group was in person. It doesn't hit the same on.
I'm sure it will be close.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't hit the same.
I mean, come on. Oh, here we go. Let's hear the captain. I need to hear the captain now. Like
I haven't even. So I had a character in my campaign. His name was Captain Zolpe. He sounded a lot like Mickey Mouse. I haven't practiced it. I don't even know if I can still do it. Oh my God. West, why are you watching this podcast? Go somewhere else. West was in my game, and Captain Zolpe was a huge hit, but I would be honest, I don't even know. I would have to like practice it to see if I can, get it to come out. Like, cause like Steph, my wife, she'll tell you when I was DMing, like I would legit sit at home and practice my voices so I could bring life to the characters. March, man, go away.
So it sounds like you need to at least give it a shot. No time like the present.
No, I don't know if I can, but maybe. But like it was really good, and the voices help, so that's like a legit big thing. And a shout out to Daniel, the DM of the game that I'm in currently. Like he does voices a lot, and it really helps you differentiate the characters, and it brings them to life. So the fact that you did like your one voice with Hans, my big issue, like I would have like girl NPCs, and I try to do a girl voice, and like my voice doesn't really get to like girl octaves, like what you would perceive to be like a normal like female. It doesn't matter the whatever. And so I really struggled with that.
Captain or we riot. That's what Adam.
Joseph and I can just start chanting Captain.
Captain. Come on. It's not...
How about you roll for it, Nathan?
Oh.
Yeah. I don't have any dice readily available.
Man.
Hold on. Here we go. D20 die roll. So what's my save number here?
If you roll over a 10, it's okay. You're high in charisma. You have a 20 charisma. So like if this were an actual scene, I would say you've got at least a +4 or a +5. So I would say you need at least a 10 to hit. So you need to roll a 5 because your +5 modifier will stack on the 5. So if you roll a 5, you do not have to sing.
So I rolled a 12, a straight 12. So if you give me even the +4, +7, or +5, whatever, I'm at like a 16 or 17. So I even beat the DC 15 and higher.
Yeah.
So, but I'll tell you what, maybe next episode, next podcast, maybe I can practice up and hit y'all with the Captain Zolpe. The Zolpe was for my group only, and now here they are trying to make me do it on a public podcast where it can go back and be replayed. But honestly, like it sounded like Mickey Mouse. I don't even know how I got my voice to do it, but it it sounded like Mickey Mouse almost.
That's amazing.
Oh, fun. Well, all right, guys. Well, we are definitely way over, but definitely have enjoyed it. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Ben again for coming on, being a guest, and just having a good time, man.
Marshman, I'll make you a deal before we go. Marshman, since you're listening, I'm gonna make you a deal. If you get BG3 and you can convince one more person to get it and play it, I'll do the Captain Zolpe voice for y'all on this podcast.
It sounds like he's going to try to roll an intimidation check.
I mean that's just facts checks. That's if you want to hear the Zolpe voice. That's what it's got to be.
I'm talking about when he says, "I'm going to get my sword." That sounds like an intimidation roll. He's trying to counter your persuasion.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all. Y'all take care. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Have fun. I know the weather is supposed to be trash, so be warm or stay warm. Take care. Be safe. Have fun. See y'all.
Thanks. See ya.